G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing on this windy day? I mean, we're up here on a parking multi-level, so it's going to be a little extra windy, but it's alright. I have a topic for you people out here who seem to be struggling with riding your bike. Now, ladies and gents, we're all no stranger to having to stall our bikes at least once in our lifetimes, but some of you are struggling more than others, so I thought I'd do a video helping you guys out, and it's all involving this little lever over here, our little clutch friend, okay? So if you guys are struggling and you're constantly stalling your bike, this is kind of the environment you want to find yourself in anyway. Find yourself a nice empty parking lot, get on your bike, and we're going to have a little bit of a practice run. G'day ladies and gents, my name is Nathan. I make videos about motorcycle tips, motorcycle content. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment down below, especially if I helped you out today. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. So what are we going to be doing? We're going to be finding ourselves a nice little empty car park. And of course, we're going to be turning on our motorbikes and practicing our clutch work. It is the best way to get better at riding your bike. So, of course, first step, start your bike. Now, your clutch lever, it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. Mine's quite far out. Some people have it a bit closer. Some people have it adjusted differently. So some people's clutch will grab here at the very end. So like this is mine. Some people's clutch will let go here. My one lets go about halfway. Some people's even more earlier than that. Find where your bite point is. So this is the first point of practice. So you're going to come to a parking lot, you're going to stop, and then you're going to do this. Press your front brake in, okay? And just keep letting out your clutch until you see, so there, right there. Notice how the bike's front end dies down. Watch again, nice and slowly, and there it is. That is your clutch bite point. What happens if you go beyond your bite point without enough power? Watch. Your bike will stall, okay? Pretty basic stuff. And obviously, if you don't get to your bite point at all and you let go and you start accelerating, you're just going to rev the bike because it's not grabbing. So we'll do that as well. So like I said, here's your bite point. Bike will dip down a little bit. Now, if we're a little bit earlier than this, you can let go of the brakes. Nothing's going to happen. And see how we just rev? No, don't go anywhere. And of course, if we go beyond that bite point again, bike will stall. Nothing too crazy. It's not rocket science, okay? So, first step of business is find your bite points. Like I said, front brake on. Bite point is, you'll even hear the revs die a little bit. So just listen. See that little difference? There's your bite point. But of course, the bike front nose going down is the easy one. So, if you're on a hill, rear brake is important. You're going to hold that rear brake so you don't fall down. Find your bite point, and then that's how you start going. So, what do? You're going to find your bite point. Nice and easy. And if you go on a nice flat parking like this, this is how you start. You're going to not even press the brake. Just going to find your bite point and let it ride that bite point slowly, okay? And now you can slowly release that clutch. So now if you go too fast, now you see I did a little bit too fast, the bike will almost stall, but you're going to give it a little bit of petrol now, a little bit of gas as the Americans say. So let's get over here and do a little thing back in this open section. So, all right, same thing as before. We're just going to slowly find that bite point, and then you're going to feel the bike move a little bit. See that, how that goes like that? No brake, you're riding that bite point. And then if you're going to slowly release it, now your bike will be idling in gear, okay? That's the first step. Obviously, smaller the bikes might struggle a little bit more depending on how tiny those engines are, but they should still get going. What do we do from this point now, ladies and gents? We're going to start applying some petrol, all right? Or some gas, as you Americans say. We're going to go, same thing. So let's let's press that front brake, find that bite point. See? Now we're going to, there we are, found that bite point. Now we're going to let go of that brake and accelerate slightly. And then slowly release that left clutch. It's not like this, it's just a slow release, okay? It's very important that you do it nice and slowly. If you go too fast, obviously your bike isn't going to be going anywhere very well. You're going to have a very rocky takeoff, and if you have a really fast bike, of course, you're just going to loop it. And I know that's not a problem for most of us. We don't start on super bikes, but if you do start on a super bike, you don't want to dump that clutch, okay? So I'll show you what happens if you just launch it first. So, found that bite point, and then just see how it sort of slips away. This is why you don't want to be doing this. All right? Launching your bike in first gear is never really a great idea unless you know how to do it properly. So now let's practice on our little takeoffs. So like I said, you're going to work your way to that bite point. See how it starts moving slowly? That's when you're going to start just gently accelerating. So you're not going to do this. You're just going to slowly open that throttle, and at the same time, you're slowly releasing that clutch. It's never a dump bum like that unless you're shifting gears after you're in gear, but we'll get to that in a second. So it's just a slow, find your bite point, and then release it slowly. So in gear, find that bite point. See how we're starting to move? Slowly accelerate, and then slowly release that clutch on the other side. It's that simple. Now, if you want to go and shift gears at this point, all right, let's continue by doing a little U-turn here. You're going to go accelerate, clutch in, flick, and let go. And that's how you sort of do your next gear. You don't have to slowly ride your clutch after first gear. It's really just first gear that's the one that you want to baby. Now, what happens if you're in the wrong gear and you want to take off? Now, in second, in most cases, you can probably get away with it, but you're just not going to go, like with your clutch, you're not just going to dump it once you start accelerating. You're going to really ride your clutch out. So, starting in second, you get to that buy point, okay? Start accelerating, probably a little bit more than you think, and then slowly let that clutch out, okay? Really slowly. Now, that's in second gear. Most times you can get away with second gear, okay? Let's be honest. But if you're not paying attention and you're in third gear, now this is when things get a little complicated. You can sometimes get away with third gear, but third gear really is a, like, flat ground mover. So, like how I'm going right now, slowly still letting the clutch out. It's possible to start in third gear. I wouldn't recommend it. There's no need to ever really start in third gear. You can start on the flattest and down a hill, but nah, there's no real need. And obviously, if you're in any higher gear than third, well, that's when we start running into problems. So let's say we're in fourth now. What's going to happen? See how the bike is slowly starting to move? It's like a real finesse game. And then your engine's going to start labouring though, see? You can hear that labouring. It's not great for the bike. Don't do it. In any higher gear, you're probably just going to stall the bike, okay? So don't start in a gear you shouldn't be doing, okay? Now, as we know, when you're pressing your brakes on a bike, you don't slam, you always squeeze it like you're juicing a lemon or an orange, right? A clutch is sort of like the reverse of that. Instead of juicing one, you're slowly letting go of one, all right? So say you've been frozen for years and you're trying to defrost your hand. That's sort of that motion here. So it's a here and slowly out. So you can have a 4-finger clutch. People recommend doing it with 2 fingers. That's fine. As long as you can get started with one and then transition to the correct one. So in this case, we'll do a 2-finger clutch. So ready? Same thing. Find that buy point. There it is. And slowly start accelerating with this other hand. So, and there you go. Now, obviously, the better you get with gear shifting, you'll be able to shift properly. And if you're doing downshifts, you don't have to really worry about babying the gear into thing. A downshift is essentially clutch in, bang, bang, all right? And then you shift down. Excuse me, fly, get off my visor. But we're just focusing on takeoffs today. So same thing, pull that in, get in your gear. If you're not sure your buy point is, front brake down, watch for that front nose dive. See, there it is. You can even hear, like I said, there's an audible change. The exhaust will make a different noise. And the bike will dip. See? So, same thing again. If you're on a hill, you ride your rear brake. So you're not touching the front brake, and you're just waiting for that little sound change. And then, once you hear that noise, you're going to start accelerating and let that clutch out slowly. And obviously, don't ride your rear brake. Once you find your clutch point grab, you sort of let go with your rear brake. You don't have to ride your rear brake once you're doing it. It's only to find your point. So it's like a handbrake style. Once you've grabbed the bite point, you can let go, okay? The whole point of the brake is to just hold you so you don't roll on that hill. Now, of course, if you're trying to take off faster, once you know your bite point, it's a little bit easier. So same principle. You're going to find your bite point, accelerate, and go. But obviously, because you know your bite point, you can sort of just, it's a little easier to take off. It's not as scary. You're not going to be worrying about revving it out too much. Obviously, a bad launch will sound like this, okay? If you're going to do a bad launch, it will be like this. What did I do wrong there? You heard it. The bike revved up incredibly high. There's no need. If in the long run, that's not good for your clutch, of course. So you don't want to be doing that too much. You really just want to be focusing on that nice smooth takeoff. So it's like that. It should sound, nice. It shouldn't rev the hell out of the bike. Same thing with your downshift. Shouldn't be revving it to the moon. But same thing. You don't have to launch it in full red line. So I'll show you a bad launch again. So what you shouldn't be doing is this. All right, see how it sounds horrible? It's annoying to the ears. It feels painful. It feels horrible. You don't want that. What you want is that nice, smooth acceleration. So it's just that little bit of rev climb's fine, but that doesn't want to sound horrible. And of course, as you start going around, you're going to be able to shift a little bit better into gears, because obviously when you're in other gears, you're not going to be doing stuff wrong. So see how it's fine? Now, if you're riding around and you're in the wrong gear and you don't know how to select your gear, let's do this wrong. So now we're in 4th gear at 20 kilometers an hour. Listen to the sound. All right. Now, that is a noise you don't want to be hearing. In the long run, it's not good for the bike. In the break-in period, it's horrendous for the bike. But if you're making that noise, I'll show you again. So we'll get there. We'll go up in this. We'll do a little loop. We'll go in the wrong gear, and I'll show you how to correct yourself. It's very easy. So get in 2nd gear. We're okay now. We'll get into 3rd gear. Struggling slightly. 4th gear. All right, see that noise? How do you fix it? Uh-oh, wrong gear, downshift. If it's still the wrong gear, downshift again. It's really, really basic stuff. Now, obviously, it's easy for me. I've been riding bikes for a long time. I've made my mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes, okay? Now, fun thing is, make sure you're not neutral. How do you know? Roll the bike. If you're finding yourself stuck at a set of lights, or even in the garage, right, and you've shifted your gear and you're in first, and you shift up, and yeah, you're trying to shift it in first, and you're trying to get in second. Okay, now it's in second, okay? What do you notice about my bike? So, I'm pressing down, and I'm not going out of neutral. And this might happen to you at a set of lights. You go, oh crap, I can't get out of gear. Why isn't it going out of gear? Clutch is pulled in, gear's still not changing. This is a thing that a lot of people don't seem to get told about. Very easy to fix. Watch this. You're going to pull your clutch in, roll your bike slightly, and still doesn't work. Roll it some more, and click. Oh look, now it's in gear. All you have to do if the bike doesn't go into gear is give it a roll in either direction, pull the clutch in, and click the gear in. It's the only thing that's going to fix it, all right? It's not hard. I know it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but it's that easy. Once again, clutch in, turn bike on. If you're on flat and you're just practicing, front brake down, find that bite point. There it is again. Watch again. See? Watch that front suspension compress slightly. The reason it's doing that is because that back wheel is getting some power and it's pushing forward. As because we've got our front brake, employed, it pushes down those suspensions. So, there's your bite point. Now we're going to practice takeoffs again. Slow acceleration, slow let go of the clutch. See that? Nice and easy. And then you can shift in a second if you want to. Now, ladies and gents, if you really want to practice your clutch work, I would employ doing the slow riding, okay? A slow ride is when you fast idle the bike, and a fast idle is when you just start twisting it. So listen. See that? Look at the difference. Look how little I'm moving that throttle. That's your fast idle. You're going to ride your rear brake and ride the bite point. So, you're going to fast idle, get that clutch bite point going, and then you're going to ride that rear brake and try and go as slowly as you can. Of course, we're trying to go. This is a skill that, as a learner biker in Australia, they make you do, all right, to get your license. But see how I'm trying to keep it below 5 kilometers an hour or 5Ks. You're just riding that bite point and riding nice and slowly. If you can't do that, well, you'll probably either go too fast or you'll stall the bike. So I assure you, practicing the slow riding in a parking lot will drastically help your clutch point, because you'll know exactly where that bite point is to go as slow as you possibly can. Now look at this, I'm going 3Ks, 2Ks, but I'm still going on the bike. And then, of course, if you want to take off, you just accelerate and let go of the clutch. If you can't do that, ladies and gents, your clutch work's probably horrendous, but that's what we're doing things. You find yourself a parking lot, and of course, once you're going, you can shift without a clutch as well. Clutchless shifting is a whole other thing. If you want me to talk about that in a video, let me know, because it's really basic, but I'll do it anyway, because I'm here to help you guys. So, just find a parking spot and practice your basics. There's no shame in coming to a parking lot to practice if you can't ride very comfortably. So once again, if you're doing a hill start, you clutch in, you hold your rear brake down, wait for those revs to drop. See, there's your rev drop. And that's when you let go of that, and then you start accelerating and let go of that clutch nice and comfortably. And then you go off and keep on moving. It's really not the hardest thing in the world, but of course, the more you do something, the better you get. Now, if you're a 4-finger clutcher, I tend to be, same principle, just find your clutch point and voila! See? This is all it is, ladies and gents. Just practice, 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 and I assure you, you will get better the more you do it. Even if you have to just practice riding around a parking lot. So, do your slaloms, practice your turns. The parking lot's very good for practicing your slow speed turns. Just be careful in multi-levels. They can have really smooth and dusty concrete, especially on the way up, so just be careful coming up to them, because I've been to one and then everyone nearly fell over because of how dusty it was. But you're just going to practice your basics, and if you want to do your slow riding, just keep yourself in first gear, and then really focus on, if you want to do your U-turns, you ride your rear brake, and then you can do a really nice controlled U-turn, because of course some people really struggle with U-turns because they're really scared. So you just find your point, turn and look, turn and look, turn and look, hold that rear brake, turn and look, turn and look. Don't be scared about dropping the bike. If you're accelerating, you won't fall down. See, it's not that bad. Just lock those wheels. I know it feels awkward, but if you're looking where you're going, your chance of going there goes up significantly. See, look at this. We're still going, keeping that full lock on the rims. Now, I know I can go a bit shallower than this, but I was going a bit faster. Try not to whiskey throttle and go into the wall. The worst thing you'll do in a parking lot most likely is just smack it and drop the bike, but try not to go over the edge. But yeah, so like I said, one last time, ladies and gents, find that bite point. If you're not pressing your brake, you will start seeing the bike roll forward slightly like this, and then you're just going to slowly accelerate and slowly let that clutch out, and off we go. Alright, hopefully this helps you out, ladies and gents. I do hope so, because it's nice to see people practicing their riding skills, getting better with time. There's no shame in practicing. We've all done it. Don't feel guilty or embarrassed because you're not good enough to press, your clutch lever in properly. You feel a little awkward because you're not that good. We all got to start somewhere, man. We all got to start somewhere. But that's the joys of motorbiking. It's a skill. You do get better, okay? So, look at this lovely place I get to film. Hopefully you get to see more in the camera. But yeah, just practice your skills. You will improve. It's a slow battle. Some of us struggle more than others. I got my clutch down pretty early. Obviously, driving a manual car and knowing how to do that helps a little bit. Not so much in the practical, but in the theory. So having the theory down does make it make more sense. But just come to a parking lot, turn your bike on, play with it, get familiar with it, because every bike's clutch point isn't like, the same. Some of them are much further out, so you got to hear. My one's mid-range, some of them are very early. If it's your own bike and you're happy with it, you can adjust it. That's what these are for. So you undo this little lock nut here, and then you loosen or tighten this one depending, and if that doesn't give you enough, you come down here and play with these ones. And just like that, that's how you adjust your clutch as well. When I got my bike major service done, they adjusted my clutch without my permission. I wasn't happy, so my clutch, however, went from being, my clutch far out, like I said. Some bikes prefer their clutches there, but like my clutch would grab here. I like my clutch grabbing about here. It's just how the bike came when I bought it. I'm much more happy with it that way. But, ladies and gents, let me know down below if this was helpful. And if you're struggling with anything else, let me know, and I'll see if I can help you by making a video about it. And otherwise, that's it for today. Take it easy, keep it cheesy, practice your riding, ride safe, get better, find a parking lot, have fun. Alright, peace. Bye.